Over the past couple of months, Attack on Titan has directed its primary spotlight onto its character interaction and emotion, opening up the character's mentality and showcasing it for everyone else to witness. What this does is it allows us to see how they could function in a group setting, relying on one another as the situation deems so, even with the different history and perspectives they share. When you bring those mindsets out into the world for everyone to bear witness, you directly open up a line of dialogue, even if it conflicts with the original intention. This allows people that want to work together, even if they are completely at opposite ends, to progressively start to understand one another. It is an extremely slow, tedious, and emotional process that is only so easily approached because of the situation at hand, which is the pressure of Eren Yeager, the Wall Titans, and the destruction of the human race. A character that has observed all of this, but has hardly contributed to the open dialogue, is Levi Ackerman. The reason for this is because over the past months, we have seen a massive change in Levi's core, from his emotions to his thought process and even functionality. For me, this is an extremely interesting thing, as Levi is quite the anomaly within the story. His recent experience, which has shifted him slightly, may have some massive ripple effects for the upcoming events. Even though his slight change is not as drastic as everyone else in comparison, I feel the importance of his character's role has been purposefully warped to hopefully flourish Levi into something else. That something is currently unknown to us, and will only start to appear the closer we get to future events surrounding him and the potential difficult decisions he may have to make. To paint a better and more detailed picture, I'm going to hone in the light on Levi and try to pick apart his mindset for things that have recently affected him, as well as formulate some loose future projections on where he could go. With that opening out of the way, let us have a closer look at the wounded monster that is Levi Ackerman and where the future of his character potentially lies. A good place to start with Levi is pointing out what his character does for Attack on Titan's story. As I said before, Levi is quite the anomaly, as this primarily builds around his strength and raw potential as a fighter. Someone that is pretty much above everyone else within the story, as his fighting prowess is extremely unmatched. This leads to a rather interesting scaling system for AOT's characters. Even though we have deathly dangerous titans and even more so powerful titan shifters, Levi has continued to showcase just how far in front of everyone he truly is. So far within the story, nothing has truly put up an equal footing fight for Levi. He's had numerous close encounters that take into consideration a litany of different disadvantages, but nothing has truly competed on that raw strength level. Hajime Isayama has taken a straightforward approach with him, making it known numerous times and with the bloodline backing that he is a character not to be messed with. This is a positive artificial way to build your power scaling early on, by making a handful of characters obnoxiously more powerful than everyone else. In this case, it's just Levi and even partially Mikasa. Now what this does is it allows the author to have better control over how strong characters can and cannot be. With Levi at the forefront of humans, titans, and shifters, it's easier to adjust the strength system when needed and allows for more clarity. However, this is a double-edged sword. Because your character is so inherently powerful from the beginning, progression is more difficult to naturally weave in. It's not impossible, but it definitely takes a different approach compared to other characters, almost like quote-unquote reverse progressing your character. Think of it like this: if Eren, Armin, and Mikasa are progressing forward to where Levi is progressing backwards to meet them at a reasonable point. Now this doesn't mean we are taking things away from his character, but more so filling the gaps that would have come with natural progression. What helps this out tremendously is Levi isn't a primary spotlight. Our attention is focused on the antics of Eren Yeager, as well as the mystery surrounding the Titans. The more the author establishes his main cast and story and cements them in, they can start to peel back the layers on their other characters that will soon be just as important. In Levi's case, this is where his fighting prowess shines above everyone else. And because power is vital to AOT's setting and situation that is constantly expanding, Levi's importance accurately shifts with it. we have seen some absolutely phenomenal things from Levi. Easily some of the most impressive uphill battles that really can't be rivaled in its magnitude. But when you think about Levi now, where he is physically, mentally, and even emotionally compared to what he was, we can slowly start to see a layer that Isayama hasn't pulled back before in this type of way: vulnerability. Even at this point, Levi is still a scary character, but his severe injuries paint an interesting future that we are completely unsure about. With the awakening of the Wall Titans and Eren Yeager continuing down his path, one of the most important components that is vital to the situation at hand is power. Levi currently is no longer that character we once knew, or even the character we would expect to close that massive power gap. Because of this, his upcoming actions will make or break certain scenarios and potentially even himself. And for me, that is the real question. How far is Levi willing to go if he wants to bring Zeke down for good and even stop Eren by helping his friends? Is he willing to sacrifice it all, or will his severe injuries become that burden for him, where he can only watch as the people around him slowly die? The thing that would bring Levi spiraling down into the position he is in now would be none other than Zeke, but it wouldn't be Zeke's own power that would be the cause. In turn, it would be Levi's oversight of Zeke's desperation to take him out, sacrificing himself as a final struggle to do as much damage to Levi as possible. As much as Levi has obliterated Zeke time and time again, underestimating Zeke's desperation would be his biggest flaw and would put him into a severely injured state that has massive consequences leading into the ending of the story. These consequences lead directly into Levi's power position, as taking rather heavy injuries to his body and even losing fingers on his dominant hand will displace him from that power. The Levi we once knew is no longer a thing. Instead, now we have a character that is a shallow reflection of himself, as he witnesses his friends around him struggle to push forward knowing that he can't do anything at that moment. However, even though the story is leading down a path of personal encounters, Levi has yet to build up any form of confidence with returning to the battlefield. His mind is slowly recuperating as he acknowledges that he will be the one to take down Zeke for good, but something that is becoming increasingly obvious to himself is being useless in these desperate times of need, something Levi isn't familiar with. For me, this seems to be extremely crucial for the path Levi wants to take from here. Knowing that he isn't potentially as powerful as he once was, he may come to question himself. Can I even take out Zeke? Am I willing to sacrifice my body and life to save the people around me? Over the months, we have seen bits and pieces of Levi's reaction to the current situation, and I find it fascinating how even though he can't inherently fight at the moment, he will hardly bother to even contribute to the attack plans or even future events that are inevitably on the way. It's probably safe to assume that he is currently self-reflecting on himself, the situation with Zeke, and the future events that may call upon him. Because at the moment, the least of everyone's problems is Zeke. They are completely focused on Eren and the things surrounding him, but I won't be surprised if Zeke does pop back up sometime soon. What role he will play in the end, I'm not entirely sure, but you can bet that Levi will be there in some sort of fashion to either talk to Zeke and try to understand him, or brutally finish off what he started. The idea that this current Levi could come to an understanding and even potentially forgive Zeke seems almost impossible, but it is what is currently going on with other characters. The general approach of this final arc is working with your enemies by understanding them. For Levi to fathom this idea for Zeke would be extremely impactful for not only his character, but the entirety of the story. That someone like Levi, who has slaughtered everything in his path with ease, faces his most difficult decision to date, to forgive someone that has brutally injured him but survived all of their engagements. Without a doubt, this is a mental hurdle for Levi, and I do believe we will see something like this in the future for him. But like most things with Levi, the result is completely unknown and difficult to pinpoint. On one hand, he could forgive Zeke and let him go by putting aside his personal grudge, which falls in line with the theme of the final arc and plays into the core of the narrative. But on the other hand, he could push himself to his final limits to take Zeke out for good. If it were to go down that route, I wouldn't be surprised if Levi were to die by the end of the story, falling to his injuries, whether he sacrifices himself to kill Zeke or even continues pushing forward to confront Eren with everyone else. There is a lot of different ways that this can go for Levi. He's had quite the insane journey up to this point and currently faces some massive personal demons. I'm extremely excited to see what Hajime Isayama has in store for him. It's only a matter of time till we truly see what a wounded monster can do and how the effects of this can cause some powerful ripples for the ending of the story. In conclusion, I am excited to see where Levi goes and what Isayama decides to do with him. There are a lot of options at hand. He is an extremely important character to not only the story, but also the power dynamic within it. Seeing Levi's story come to a beautiful conclusion, whether it's through self-progressive realization or even sacrifice to save his friends, will be something I feel a lot of people will be grateful for, whatever the results. With that said, I want to thank you all for watching. I've been excited to talk about the current Levi for quite some time, and considering there's no chapter this month, an even better time to do a full video for him. Let me know where you are with Levi currently, and where you feel his story may go from here. I'd love to hear your thoughts. To end it off, I hope you all enjoyed, drink plenty of water, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.